Gender-based violence is a global pandemic that affects and impacts negatively lives of 1 in 3 women worldwide. And one thing that we have come to realize is that domestic violence is one of the common forms, or rather the common types of GBV or gender-based violence that impact 1 in 4 women in every 1 hour. So you can imagine how many women are impacted by domestic violence in 24 hours. But violence generally takes many forms, and nowadays the killing of women and girls just because of their gender has really increased, and this is what we call femicide. We have seen how many lives are being lost every day, and as Come Together Widows and Orphans organization, we cannot keep quiet also. We cannot watch this happening because it is not okay to lose your child. It's not okay to lose your daughter. It's not okay to lose your mother. It's not okay to lose your auntie. It's not okay to lose your grandmother. It's not okay to lose your cousin. So it's very important for us to step out there and speak loudly and say no to femicide. I am calling on all boys and men to come outside here together with us, join hands as we approach the 16 days of activism, and we ensure that we are stepping out there to do something. Let's step out there and do something for our girls and our mothers. Let's step out there and do something for women and girls, because they are dying in huge numbers because of femicide. In the recent cases, we have seen at least 3 women are being killed every day. Then where are we headed to as a country? Femicide has become an issue in this country, and we have to say no to femicide. I am one of those cases that would have died. My story, when you read, it's available online, it's available on papers, it's available on YouTube, everywhere you'll find my story. I would have died in 2013, over 10 years ago, just because I didn't die. I learned the importance of speaking out. What about you who is there and nobody has ever even laid their finger on you? And I say no even to someone laying a finger on someone's daughter or someone's son. It's wrong to violate someone. It's wrong to beat someone. One of the questions I've been asking myself, how committed are we as a country to ensure that we address femicide and we bring to an end this issue? We've seen sometimes even when we step out, we call even onto our leaders to come and join us so that we can raise our voices, and then they can do a commitment, because there is no raising a voice and you continue raising a voice without people who are on the decision making tables, the legislators, continuing to keep quiet about this pressing issue, an issue that is a thorn in the flesh to their people who are to the electorates, people who put them into those positions of power. So what is being done to address these issues as a whole, the whole issue of gender-based violence as we approach the 16 days of activism, and what they are doing? Is it enough? Let's look at some of the demographics and look at some of the commitments and look at some of the guidance that we have. Under the Sustainable Development Goals, which are commonly known as SDGs in all the countries, Kenya committed, under the SDGs, Kenya committed to end all forms of gender-based violence by 2020. Under the Sustainable Development Goals, that is SDGs, we have 17 of them, from SDG number 1, poverty eradication, to SDG number 17. Now look at it. We are in the year 2024, we are ending the year in a month's time. We will be in the year 2025, and our journey to 2030 is just about. Are we going to move our goalposts as a country? Because we have committed to end all forms of gender-based violence by 2030. Okay, what does Kenya have? I have been able to read far and wide and to attend quite a number of very informative meetings, sit on very informative decision-making tables, but here we are. Kenya has policies and strategies to prevent and respond to gender-based violence. Kenya launched its National Policy on Prevention and Response to Gender-Based Violence in 2014. Actually, I attended this event. The Constitution also has provided, this is the Constitution of Kenya that we promulgated in 2010, a constitution that we really embraced, and we said if there are changes we are going to amend as time goes by. But what are we concentrating on? What are our leaders concentrating on? Extending their term of service from 5 years to 7 years. But are we being honest to ourselves? Once I was in Geneva in Switzerland, and I remember I did a very good presentation. It was very awesome, very good. And I remember just in the middle of the crowd, a certain lady raised her hand and said, I've been to Kenya, I love the Big Five, and Kenya is an amazing country, and Kenya has very good paperwork. As Kenya, you have a very good paperwork. But I have a problem with you Kenyans, from the legislators to your executive. You people, you don't implement what you pass. You have a lot of paper, it's available on internet, but you're not implementing. And I was like, hey. I remember I was on this decision-making table with one of the cabinet secretaries. To defend my country, I had to step out and speak about one of the cases we had won in court, just to make sure that I did a cover-up to my country. But nevertheless, was it a lie? It was not a lie. If there is one beautiful thing that Kenya has, the Constitution of Kenya. The Constitution of Kenya 2010. This is a real asset to our nation. This is a real asset to our nation. And then we call ourselves a Christian country. So we have this Constitution of the land, and we have another constitution. And for our brothers, the Muslims, and the sisters who are Muslims, you have the Quran. Now, looking at it critically, we also have other national policies. Even right now, I know there is a gender policy that is being worked on. But do we continue to work on papers and just let them lay on our shelves, put them on top of the table like the way I have so many of my books here? Is it going to work? It doesn't. It doesn't work that way. So in 2014, Kenya launched the national policy on prevention and response to gender-based violence. That was 2014, meaning 10 years down the line today. Then the Kenyan Constitution, it has a lot of provisions for protection of all individuals from all forms of violence. Hey, when Jokindungu, who is now in Supreme Court, or rather I think even that time she was still in Supreme Court, if I can remember well. When my story happened, when my ordeal happened, she came up with the domestic violence, prevention against domestic violence. That time it was a bill during my story, but later on it was passed and it became an act of parliament. The Prevention Against Violence on Women, we call it the PADV Act, Prevention Against Domestic Violence Act 2015. I remember it very well. I remember even the day that the former president, our fourth president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, assented to it, and it became a law. It was on 15th of May 2015. This beautiful, beautiful act speaks about so much. This beautiful act has a lot of it. I think, you know, I really treasure the act. It's in me. I love it. I know it. I can recite it. I'll do it another day, one by one. I'll tell you what it means. I'll tell you the fines and charges and everything that I know that are supposed to accompany it. But let me tell you, from 2015, on 15th of May to date, almost 10 years down the line again, how many women continue to be violated? How many girls continue to be violated? How many boys and men are being sodomized? Yet we have that act in place. Kenya, we are good at doing paperwork, but the real action, no. There is something else that is called CEDAW. CEDAW. I have even done a fellowship. The Indrani fellowship I did, it was an online fellowship. Indrani fellowship was, the hosts are in the UK, but I did the Indrani fellowship in Kenya. The Indrani fellowship that is always offered by an organization that is a good friend of ours, that is known as Every Woman Treaty. Every Woman Treaty taught us more about CEDAW, what is CEDAW, when was CEDAW ratified, why was CEDAW put in place, but you find CEDAW is also very silent on violence against women. As much as in it talks about elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, CEDAW is so silent about gender violence on women. But who is Kenya? Kenya is a signatory to CEDAW. Eliminating all forms of discrimination against women. When women are going through femicide, what is that? When women are dying, just because of their gender, they are being killed. Women and girls, we've seen very young girls dying. We've seen women crying, they are losing their daughters. We've seen fathers crying, losing their daughters. Yet, what is our government doing? So, when we're talking about femicide also, the cases that we know about femicide, most of them are the ones that are being reported. But I keep on asking myself, how many cases are still underreported or not reported? I mean, when they are underreported, sometimes you find the cases of femicide, they are at 100 and maybe only 40 are reporting. That is underreporting. And you find, why are they not being reported at all? There is a cultural way of sorting out, oh sijui uwezi sema fulani amekufanyia, oh sijui whatever it is, you are supposed to step out and speak about any form of violence. Do not let anyone violate you. You have a right to speak. Step and speak up.